It started with the televisions that I was in Sun City, Arizona, visiting my grandmother. My mom had been nagging me for weeks. Leo, she's lonely, your grandfather's been gone a year. Just go for a weekend. Play some golf with her, she still whips people on the green. So I flew into Phoenix, rented a bland sedan, and drove the 45 minutes northwest into the sprawling beige retirement paradise. Sun City is a specific kind of place that it's not a town, not really, that it's a concept, meticulously manicured and baked under the relentless Arizona sun. Every lawn is a perfect, water-guzzling carpet of green. Every stucco house is a variation on a theme: beige, tan, desert, rose. The streets are wide and quiet, navigated by golf carts and cautious, slow-moving sedans. The air smells like chlorine from community pools and freshly cut grass. That it's peaceful, that it's sterile, that it felt, to my 32-year-old eyes, like a beautifully maintained waiting room. My grandmother, Eleanor, was thrilled to see me. She hugged me tight, her small frame feeling brittle in my arms. That she'd set up the guest room with fresh towels and a little bowl of wrapped candies, like I was still 10. That first evening was nice. That we ordered a pizza. She insisted, saying my young metabolism could handle it, and she told me stories about my dad as a boy, her eyes twinkling. That it was good, that it was normal. The normalcy ended at exactly 7:03 p.m. That we were in her living room, the blinds drawn against the bruised purple of the desert twilight. The local news was on, a perky blonde woman talking about a water conservation initiative. My grandmother was dozing lightly in her recliner. I was scrolling through my phone, half watching, half thinking about the girl I was seeing back home, Chloe. I was mentally composing a text to her, something flirty about the desert heat, when the screen flickered. It wasn't a dramatic flicker, just a quick, digital stutter. The news anchor's face pixelated for a fraction of a second, her smile breaking apart into a mosaic of color blocks before snapping back to normal. What was that? My grandmother murmured, stirring. Just the signal, Grams, I said, not looking up from my phone. Probably a satellite thing. Then the emergency broadcast system tone blared. It was the same as it's always been, that jarring, oscillating screech that hijacks every channel. I looked up, annoyed at a test. It had to be a test. The familiar screen came up, the stark white text on a blue background. Asterisk, asterisk, emergency alert system, asterisk, asterisk, this is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. But then the text changed. It didn't fade or scroll. It just morphed. The blue background deepened to an almost black, and new, thinner, white text appeared underneath the main header. It was laid out like a simple, terrifying table. Sun City census tract 411.2 resident remaining days, and then it started listing names. It scrolled slowly, methodically. Asterisk, asterisk, Abernathy, Robert 014 asterisk, asterisk, Chin, Lisa 289 Delgado, Miguel 1, 204. My breath caught in my throat. This was some kind of sick joke. A hack. I looked over at my grandmother. She was fully awake now, leaning forward, her reading glasses perched on her nose as she squinted at the screen. What in the world? She whispered. The list kept scrolling, dozens of names, then hundreds. The numbers next to them varied wildly. Some were in the single digits, some were in the thousands, and then we saw it. Asterisk, asterisk, Henderson, Eleanor 027 asterisk, asterisk. The number glowed on the screen, a stark, digital verdict. 27 days. Grams, I said, my voice tight. It's a prank. Some kids with a computer. She didn't answer, she was just staring, her hand pressed to her mouth. The scroll continued for another 30 seconds, a seemingly endless roster of her neighbors and their expiration dates, before the screen flickered again and the local news returned, the blonde anchor now talking about a new shopping mall as if nothing had happened. The room was silent, save for the inane chatter from the TV. Well, my grandmother said, her voice unnervingly calm. She picked up the remote and muted the television. That was peculiar. Peculiar? Grams, that was messed up. I stood up, my heart hammering against my ribs. We should call someone. The police, the TV station. And tell them what, dear? She asked, turning to look at me. Her eyes, usually so bright and mischievous, were flat. That our televisions told us a fib? They'll think I've gone senile. It's not a fib, it's a threat or something. It's a number, Leo. She took off her glasses and polished them on the hem of her sweater. Just a number on a screen. Now would you like some tea? I have that chamomile you like. She was in denial. She had to be. I was freaked out, and I was just a visitor. I spent the next hour trying to call the local news station, getting only busy signals and automated menus. I looked online. Nothing. No mentions on social media, no news stories. It was as if it had only happened to us. But it hadn't. The next morning the strangeness began to curdle. I went for a walk to clear my head, the dry heat already pressing down like a physical weight. The community seemed different. The manicured perfection felt sinister. I saw an old man meticulously watering his roses, his movements slow and precise. According to the list last night, Franklin Arthur had 003 days left. Was that him? I quickened my pace. I ended up at the main community clubhouse, a sprawling complex with pools, a gym, and a cafe. I needed coffee and, frankly, to see someone under the age of 70. That's when I saw Maya. She was behind the counter of the Saguaro Sunrise Cafe, and the sight of her was like a splash of cold water in the face. She was probably in her late 20s, with sun-streaked brown hair pulled back in a messy but elegant ponytail. She had high, sharp cheekbones and a full, unpainted mouth that seemed to be on the verge of a smirk. She was wearing a simple green staff polo shirt, but it did nothing to hide the shape of her. The fabric stretched taut across her chest, and when she turned to grab a coffee pot, the way her hips moved in her black jeans was a study in fluid, unconscious grace. I stood there for a moment, just watching her. My anxiety from the night before, the creeping dread about my grandmother, it all receded, replaced by a simpler, more primal buzz. I thought of Chloe, and felt a pang of guilt, which was then immediately washed away by the sight of Maya's forearm, slender and strong, as she wiped down the espresso machine. "Help you?" she asked, her voice a low, pleasant alto. Her eyes were a warm hazel, and they looked directly at me, a faint, knowing smile on her lips as if she'd caught me staring. Maybe she had. Yeah, large black coffee, please." As she rang me up, our fingers brushed during the handoff of my credit card. A tiny electric shock of contact. Under any other circumstance, it would have felt promising. Here, in this land of the soon-to-be departed, it felt surreal. I couldn't stop my eyes from dipping down, taking in the shape of her breasts beneath the polo, the curve of her waist, the way her jeans hugged her thighs. It was a desperate, animal impulse. A need to feel life, to focus on something warm and vibrant and full of potential, not on a countdown to the end. "You're new," she stated, handing me my coffee. "Visiting?" "My grandmother, Eleanor Henderson." Something shifted in her eyes, the flirtatious glint faded, replaced by a flicker of something else. Caution. Sympathy. "Eleanor, she's a sweetheart." "You know about the thing last night?" I asked, lowering my voice. Her face went carefully neutral. "The TV thing?" Yet it was on all the sets in here too. Freaked out the morning water aerobics class. She leaned forward slightly, and I caught a faint scent of vanilla and coffee beans. My eyes were drawn to the delicate hollow of her throat. "My boss, Mr. Davison, he was on the list. It said he had 41 days. She glanced around, then back at me. "He had a full cardiac workup last month. Doctor told him he's as healthy as a horse." "So it's bullshit," I said, feeling a surge of relief. "Is it?" she asked, her gaze intense. "Mrs. Gable in Bungalow 14? She was on there. 3 days. She fell in her bathroom this morning. Broken hip. Her age. That's not good." The relief evaporated, leaving a cold void. We stood in silence for a moment, the hum of the refrigerators suddenly seeming loud and ominous. "I'm Maya, by the way," she said, straightening up. "Leo." "Well, Leo," she said, her smile returning but weaker now. "Welcome to Sun City. Try not to look at any TVs at 7:03. I spent the day with my grandmother, trying to act normal. We played a round of golf on the putting green in her backyard. She beat me soundly. But her mind wasn't fully in it. Her gaze kept drifting towards the house, towards the blank, dark screen of the television in the living room. Later, I helped her sort through a box of my grandfather's old ties. The silence between us was heavy, filled with the unspoken. The number .027. "You know, Leo," she said suddenly, holding a garish paisley tie from the 70s, Your grandfather, he always said he wanted to go quickly, not a long drawn-out thing that he got his wish. She smoothed the silk between her fingers. 27 days, that's almost a month. That it's a decent amount of time to get your affairs in order. Grams, stop. Please, that it's not real. Isn't it? She looked at me, her eyes clear and sharp. Why is it only happening here? Why are the numbers so specific? Arthur Franklin down the street, the one with the 3 days, he didn't come out to get his paper this morning. His daughter came by, she found him in his armchair, just gone. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. That a coincidence that it had to be. That evening as 7 p.m. approached, the tension in the house was palpable. That we were both pretending not to watch the clock. My grandmother was knitting, her needles clicking a frantic staccato rhythm. That I was pretending to read a magazine, but the words were just shapes on a page. At 7:02 I couldn't take it anymore. We don't have to watch, you know, that we can go for a drive. No, she said firmly, putting her knitting down, I want to see. At 7:03 the screen flickered, Thea's tone screamed into the quiet living room. The same blue screen. The same header. *** Sun City Census Tract 411.2***. Resident remaining days. The list began to scroll. That we watched, mesmerized and horrified. Names we recognized. People my grandmother played bridge with, shared recipes with. Their numbers were all 1 digit lower. *** Abernathy, Robert 013 *** Chin, Lisa 288 Delgado, Miguel 1203, and then, there it was. *** Henderson, Eleanor 026 ***. The number had decrement. That it was tracking. That it was real. My grandmother let out a small shaky sigh. Well, there it is. After the screen returned to normal, I felt a panic I'd never known. This wasn't a ghost story. This was a systematic, technological countdown. That I needed to talk to someone who wasn't a part of this, someone who could pull me back to reality. That I thought of Maya, her warmth, her life. I found a flimsy excuse to go back to the clubhouse, saying I needed to use the business center printer. The cafe was closed, but I saw a light on in the back. That I knocked softly. After a moment, Maya opened the door. She looked tired, her ponytail looser, strands of hair framing her face. She was still in her work clothes. Leo? What's up? My grandmother's printer is out of ink. Can I just... I gestured lamely inside. She studied my face for a second, then stepped back. Sure. Come on in. The cafe was dark and quiet, smelling strongly of disinfectant. The chairs were upturned on the tables. That I didn't need a printer. That I just needed to be near her. It happened again, didn't it? She asked, leaning against the counter. Her arms were crossed, which pushed her breasts together slightly. That I forced my eyes to stay on her face. Yeah. The number went down, for everyone. I know. My friend Jessica texted me. She works at the grocery store. They all saw it on the TV in the electronics department. Maya shook her head. People are losing it. Some are calling it a miracle, a gift from God to prepare. Others are just terrified. What do you think it is? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I don't know, but it's not stopping. She uncrossed her arms and started wiping down the already clean counter, her movements agitated, the muscles in her forearm flexed. That I found myself staring at her hands, at her long slender fingers. That I imagined them touching my arm, my face. The thought was a flare of heat in the cold dread that had taken root inside me. My boss, Mr. Davison? He's already started giving away his prized vinyl collection. That he's acting like it's a sure thing. We talked for almost an hour, in hushed, conspiratorial tones. That it was the most intimate conversation I'd had in years, born entirely from shared, bizarre terror. That I told her about my life back home, my boring IT job, my semi-serious thing with Chloe. She told me she was saving up for nursing school, that she'd taken this job to be near her own grandfather, who had passed away 6 months ago. Maybe that's why I can see this a little more clearly, she said. I'm not on the list. That I don't live here. That I just work here. That it lets me see how it's changing people. How? They're becoming their numbers. The ones with high numbers are getting reckless. That I saw a guy on a golf cart today. He must be in his 80s, doing donuts in the parking lot. His number was over 2,000. The ones with low numbers, they're getting quiet. Resigned. Or they're just gone. They lock their doors and don't come out. I walked back to my grandmother's house in the dark, the desert night cold and vast. The encounter with Maya had left me unsettled in a different way. The raw, physical attraction was a constant hum under my fear, a confusing, guilty counterpoint that I was thinking about the way a strand of her hair had fallen across her cheek, and how badly I'd wanted to reach out and tuck it behind her ear, when I saw him. A man was standing under a street lamp 2 houses down from my grandmother's. That he was tall and gaunt, dressed in a dark, old-fashioned suit that looked too heavy for the climate. That he wasn't moving, that he was just standing there, perfectly still, staring at my grandmother's house. That I stopped walking. "Can I help you?" I called out, my voice echoing in the quiet street. He didn't respond, that he didn't even turn his head, that he just continued staring. The light from the street lamp cast deep shadows across his face, making his features indistinct, almost blurred. That a primal fear, colder and sharper than the unease about the televisions, shot through me. This wasn't a technological glitch. This was something else. Something personal. I started walking again, faster now, my eyes locked on him. That as I got closer, I could see more details. His suit was a deep, funereal black, and it seemed to absorb the light. His hands were clasped in front of him. His skin was pale, almost waxy. When I was about 20 feet away, he finally moved. That he didn't turn to face me. He simply took a slow, deliberate step backwards, melting into the deep shadow between 2 houses. That he moved with an unnatural silence, without the rustle of fabric or the crunch of gravel. That I ran the last few yards to my grandmother's door, fumbling with the key, my heart trying to punch its way out of my chest. That I slammed the door shut and locked it, leaning against it, breathing heavily. "Leo? Is that you?" my grandmother called from the living room. "Yeah, Grams, that it's me." I didn't tell her about the man. What would I say? That I saw a creepy guy in a suit? It sounded ridiculous. But the image was burned into my mind, the absolute stillness, the deliberate, silent retreat. The next day the countdown continued its silent, invisible work. The community was fraying at the edges. I saw a for sale sign pounded into a perfect lawn. That a moving truck was parked outside another house. But more often, there was just a profound, eerie quiet from certain homes.